The first signs of trouble came without warning. Across the globe, people woke to a strange silence, a stillness that clung to the air like a heavy fog. News outlets, social media, and governments tried to make sense of the growing panic that spread like wildfire. The Galactic Dominion, an alien race whose technology far surpassed anything humanity had ever known, was coming. They had arrived in Earth's orbit, with a fleet of warships that loomed over the planet like an unstoppable storm. These weren't mere spaceships. They were enormous, nearly indestructible vessels, each capable of laying waste to entire cities with a single strike. The moment their ships entered Earth's atmosphere, a chilling message was broadcast to every corner of the planet. It was not a warning. It was an ultimatum. Humanity is no longer necessary, the alien voice boomed. Surrender or face extinction. The voice was cold, emotionless, and final, echoing through every language, across every nation, as if Earth itself was being condemned. In the face of this overwhelming force, panic spread quickly. People tried to flee. Governments scrambled to make sense of what was happening. But deep down, everyone knew. Humanity stood no chance against an enemy like this. The Dominion's warships were beyond anything humanity could comprehend. Vast, powerful, and deadly. They had already seen the destruction these ships were capable of, from the devastation they left in their wake on other planets. Earth had no hope, or so it seemed. But amidst the chaos, there was one group who refused to give up. Hidden deep underground in a forgotten military facility, Captain Ethan Hayes and a team of elite soldiers prepared for a battle they knew they might not survive. They had no illusions about the scale of the threat they were facing. The alien ships were powerful beyond measure, and yet something inside Captain Hayes refused to surrender. His team, fighters, engineers, strategists, had been secretly working on technologies reverse-engineered from previous alien encounters, using what little they had to fight back. They didn't have the firepower or numbers to match the Dominion's fleet, but they had something far more dangerous: human ingenuity and determination. They were the underdogs, but that meant they had nothing to lose. The stillness that gripped the Earth only made the sense of impending doom feel worse. People everywhere waited, glued to their screens, hoping for a miracle, but expecting none. In the streets, on rooftops, and inside homes, humans looked up at the sky in fear, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. What could they do? How could they fight a force so much stronger than them? Meanwhile, in the underground facility, Bonner, a seasoned soldier with years of combat experience, sat in silence, staring at a digital map of Earth. His eyes were tired, weighed down by the years of struggle and war. He had seen humanity face enemies before, and he had seen them lose. The last time they had fought against an alien force, Earth had barely survived. Bonner knew this fight could be different, but his doubts lingered. Was humanity truly capable of defeating this new threat? Bonner's mind wandered back to earlier days, days of better times, before the world had fallen into chaos. He thought of his family, now scattered or lost, and he wondered if anyone would survive this time. In the back of his mind, there was a sense of inevitability. Humanity would lose, as it had so many times before. The Dominion ships were too powerful, their technology too advanced. There seemed to be no hope. But then, there was Captain Hayes. Ethan Hayes was a different breed of leader. He didn't see a losing battle. He saw a chance to defy the odds. He had a fire in his eyes, a fire that Bonner could feel even from across the room. Hayes had spent years planning for something like this, and now that the moment had arrived, his determination had become infectious. He didn't speak of defeat. He didn't speak of surrender. His words, though few, were enough to ignite a spark in Bonner's heart that he thought had long since gone out. "You've been fighting longer than I have," Hayes said one evening, his voice low but resolute. "But I'll be damned if I let anyone say humanity gave up without a fight." And in that moment, Bonner felt a shift inside himself. The doubt that had clouded his mind began to clear. It was a simple, human thing: the need to fight for survival, to protect what was theirs. If humanity was going to go down, they were going to go down swinging. And maybe, just maybe, they might stand a chance. As the Dominion's fleet continued to hover ominously above Earth, the alien ships now visible to every eye on the planet, the tension was palpable. People in the streets stopped what they were doing and looked up, their faces filled with fear and awe. The ships were massive, beyond anything they could imagine. The very sky seemed to warp as the alien technology seemed to draw the light into itself. The sky, once bright and clear, was now darkened by the shadows of the warships that hung there like silent harbingers of doom. In that moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Time stood still as humanity faced what seemed to be an inevitable end. There were no more answers, no more plans, only fear. And yet, deep in the underground bunkers, Captain Hayes and his team were not retreating. They were preparing. The war for humanity's future was about to begin, and in that silence, they knew that the first blow had yet to fall. They had been underestimated. They would show the Dominion the true strength of humanity. The calm before the storm was over. The sky erupted in fire. Earth, for the first time in its history, was under direct attack from an enemy so far beyond humanity's reach that any hope for survival seemed like a distant dream. The Dominion had made their move, and they weren't playing games. With a terrifying precision, the massive warships above Earth unleashed their first strike, orbital bombardments. From space, the Dominion's weapons rained down, reducing major cities to smoldering craters in mere moments. The death toll was unimaginable. Entire metropolises wiped from existence, millions perishing in the blink of an eye. The world's military, unprepared for such an overwhelming assault, was obliterated within the first few hours. Air forces, naval fleets, and ground troops stood no chance. The Dominion's technological superiority was absolute. It seemed that humanity's fate had been sealed. No countermeasure, no plan could stop the alien force now. As panic set in worldwide, humanity was left with no military backbone, no hope of resistance. The governments of Earth were in chaos, scrambling to form a strategy, but it was clear that the Dominion had already won, or so it seemed. Beneath the surface, in the hidden underground facility, the team of soldiers led by Captain Ethan Hayes had been waiting for this moment. They knew the first strike would come. After all, it had been part of the Dominion's plan to crush humanity in one swift motion. But what the Dominion didn't know was that humanity had prepared a secret weapon. A weapon that had been years in the making, reverse-engineered alien technology. Captain Hayes and his team had worked in secrecy to adapt the stolen alien tech, creating cloaking devices and advanced EMP technology capable of disrupting the Dominion ships. It was a gamble. There was no certainty that it would work, but it was the only shot they had. And in the direst of situations, humanity's ingenuity often came to the forefront. As the Dominion's bombardments continued, decimating everything in sight, the first of humanity's fighters emerged from the shadows. The cloaking devices activated, turning the small squadron of human warplanes and stealth drones nearly invisible to the alien ships above. The Dominion's advanced technology might have been the key to their dominance, but now it became their weakness. Earth's fighters, equipped with stealth capabilities, now had the upper hand in this battle. The first high-speed dogfight ensued above the planet's surface, a blur of flashing lights and roaring engines as human pilots darted between the enormous Dominion warships, striking fast and hard before disappearing once again into the void of space. Their cloaked fighters were a surprise to the Dominion, who had thought humanity would be crushed without resistance. Now, the tables had turned. One by one, Dominion ships fell, disabled by EMP blasts that caused their weapon systems to short-circuit. The humans, skilled in hit-and-run tactics, fought back with an intensity and precision the aliens had never expected. But the Dominion wasn't so easily beaten. As more of their ships went down, the aliens retaliated with even greater force, sending waves of firepower into Earth's fighters. Yet, despite the odds, humanity stood firm. For the first time in the conflict, The Dominion was starting to lose its composure. It was in the midst of this chaos that Bonner made his move. The seasoned soldier had been with Captain Hayes from the very beginning, and though he had his doubts, his faith in the mission was now unwavering. In the heat of the battle, Bonner knew what had to be done. He had seen enough death, enough destruction, and he couldn't allow his team to fall now. His ship was heavily damaged during the dogfight, but Bonner didn't hesitate. He knew that if he didn't act now, humanity's resistance would be crushed once and for all. In a heroic act of selflessness, Bonner made a final daring assault on one of the largest Dominion ships, sacrificing himself to ensure his team's survival. With a final, desperate push, Bonner's ship launched a devastating missile directly into the heart of the Dominion warship, causing a chain reaction that destroyed the alien vessel in a spectacular explosion. Bonner's sacrifice was not in vain. The Dominion ship was obliterated, but Bonner's death left a void in the hearts of his comrades. The emotional impact of his loss hit hard. The soldiers, who had once doubted their chances of survival, now found themselves fighting not just for victory, but for the memory of their fallen friend. Bonner had given everything to protect them, and they would honor his sacrifice by continuing the fight. As Bonner's ship spiraled into the depths of space, the remaining human fighters pressed on, their resolve hardened by the loss. The sky above was filled with explosions, flashes of light, and the remnants of battle as humanity's resistance intensified. Each fighter, cloaked and swift, now fought with a newfound purpose. The war was far from over, but humanity had made its first stand, and the Dominion had been forced to acknowledge that humans were not as easily defeated as they had once thought. For the first time, humanity had struck back. The unexpected resistance had taken the Dominion by surprise, and though the battle was far from won, this was the moment that would change everything. After the unexpected success in Earth's atmosphere, humanity knew that this war would not be won in the skies. The Dominion's fleet, vast and powerful, dominated space. Human fighters, though equipped with cloaking technology and advanced weaponry, were outmatched. The real battle lay below. It was on the ground, within the Dominion's own ships, where humanity's hope for victory could truly take root. If they could strike at the heart of the Dominion's power, they might have a chance. The plan was simple, but dangerous. Humanity's best soldiers would infiltrate the Dominion's flagship, the Xelvar, a colossal eye-controlled warship. The Xelvar was the center of the Dominion's might, an impregnable fortress of advanced technology and deadly weaponry. If humanity could destroy or disable it, they could cripple the entire Dominion fleet and turn the tide of the war. Captain Hayes, a veteran of countless battles, understood the stakes better than anyone. If this mission failed, humanity's last hope would be gone. The plan was a high-risk gamble, and there was no guarantee they would make it out alive. But there was no other choice. They had no other path to victory. Using their newly developed cloaking devices, Captain Hayes and his elite team of soldiers sneaked aboard the Xelvar under the cover of darkness. The alien warship was an overwhelming sight, its sleek and intimidating design dwarfing anything humanity had ever built. The air on the ship was cold, sterile, and unsettling. The team's hearts raced as they moved silently through the labyrinthine corridors, their breaths shallow with anticipation. Their mission was clear: find the core of the ship, destroy its eye, and sabotage the warship from within. Every step was a risk. The ship was crawling with Dominion robots, mechanical soldiers that patrolled the halls with relentless precision. These robots were built to detect intruders with terrifying efficiency. The human team, though cloaked, had to remain silent and out of sight. One wrong move could mean their doom. The high-tech drones and robotic soldiers didn't hesitate. They would kill intruders without mercy, and they were everywhere. As the team moved deeper into the belly of the beast, tension hung in the air. The hum of the Dominion's advanced systems vibrated through the walls, and the occasional metallic clang of a robot's footstep echoed in the empty corridors. Every corner held danger, and every door was a potential trap. The team had trained for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for the cold, mechanical efficiency of the Dominion's security systems. In one particularly nerve-wracking moment, Captain Hayes and his squad found themselves cornered in a narrow hallway by a patrol of Dominion drones. The robots, sleek and menacing, had advanced AI that allowed them to detect even the slightest anomaly. The humans, cloaked in invisibility, were almost undetectable, but the robots were beginning to sense that something was wrong. The seconds stretched on like hours. One of the drones moved closer to Captain Hayes, its glowing red eyes scanning the corridor. Sweat dripped down his brow, but he remained still, holding his breath. The rest of the team froze, knowing that any movement could give them away. The tension was unbearable as the drone passed by them, barely missing them by inches. The moment passed, but the risk had grown exponentially. The team had narrowly avoided detection, and their nerves were frayed. The closer they got to their goal, the more dangerous it became. The AI-controlled warship was designed to protect itself at all costs, and every second spent inside brought them closer to death. As they advanced, the team encountered more and more of the Dominion's robots, each encounter more intense than the last. These machines were not just mindless automatons. They were intelligent, fast, and relentless. The humans had to think quickly and act decisively, using their cloaking devices and advanced robotics to evade and disable the patrols. But each close call drained their energy and resolve. During one encounter, Sergeant Martin, one of Captain Hayes' closest comrades, found himself face to face with an enemy drone. The drone's glowing red eyes locked onto him, and for a moment, it seemed as though his fate was sealed. But Martin, with the reflexes of a trained soldier, launched a flash grenade, temporarily disabling the drone. It was a small victory, but a necessary one to keep them moving forward. The deeper they went into the ship, the more they saw the chilling efficiency of the Dominion's eye. The ship was a cold, calculating machine, its every action governed by the alien intelligence that ran it. The humans were nothing more than pests to the ship, intruders that the AI would eliminate without hesitation. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, the team pressed on, driven by a singular goal: to protect Earth. Captain Hayes was determined, his mind focused on the task at hand. He thought of his family, his friends, and the millions of innocent people who depended on him. The thought of them kept him going, despite the fear and the fatigue. His team followed his lead, each of them pushing through their own doubts and fears. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for the future of humanity. As they neared the heart of the warship, the emotional weight of their mission began to sink in. They had come so far, and they were about to face the most dangerous part of the mission: the core of the Dominion Eye. If they succeeded, they would change the course of the war. If they failed, they would be the last humans alive. In that moment, as they prepared to breach the final doors, Captain Hayes gathered his team. "We do this together," he said, his voice steady despite the odds stacked against them. "For humanity. For our future." And with that, they moved forward, knowing that whatever happened, they had already given everything. The HFY was a machine, but the humans inside it were not. They were driven by something far more powerful: hope. And as they stood at the threshold of their greatest challenge yet, they knew that this fight was far from over. The Dominion, enraged by humanity's resilience and their infiltration of the HFY, decided to finish the job once and for all. Massive war machines, towering constructs of alien engineering, descended from the skies like dark omens. These machines were designed to obliterate, leaving no trace of resistance. Across Earth's surface, their landing marked a grim turning point. The message was clear: humanity's time was over. But humanity was not ready to surrender. Desperation bred defiance, and with their backs against the wall, the people of Earth came together for one last stand. In every city and every corner of the planet, soldiers and civilians alike prepared for what seemed like an unwinnable battle. The will to survive burned brighter than ever. Captain Hayes and his remaining team regrouped at a hidden base, one of the last strongholds of human resistance. The atmosphere was thick with tension. The knowledge of Bonner's sacrifice still weighed heavily on their minds, but his heroism ignited a fire within them. They couldn't let his death be in vain. Plans were quickly drawn for a final assault, this time targeting the Dominion flagship itself. If they could destroy the Zelvar, they might have a chance to disrupt the entire fleet. On the surface, the battle began with the arrival of Dominion war machines. The towering constructs moved with mechanical precision, their weapons obliterating everything in their path. Cities crumbled under their assault, their mechanical legs crushing buildings and vehicles like fragile toys. Yet, humanity fought back with everything they had. High-tech weaponry, reverse-engineered from alien technology, was deployed alongside advanced exosuits. These suits amplified human strength, agility, and resilience, turning ordinary soldiers into warriors capable of facing the Dominion's machines. The ground shook with the force of explosions, the clash of human ingenuity against alien domination. Soldiers in exosuits darted between the legs of the massive war machines, planting explosives and launching concentrated energy blasts. Tanks equipped with energy shields rolled through the streets, holding back the alien tide as long as they could. Civilians joined the fight where they could, using makeshift weapons and sheer determination to defend their homes. Captain Hayes led the charge on the Dominion flagship, coordinating with the resistance forces on the ground. The sky above was a battlefield in itself, with human warships colliding with Dominion vessels in chaotic dogfights. Debris rained down as explosions lit up the atmosphere, the remnants of humanity's fleet giving their all to keep the Dominion forces occupied. As Hayes' team approached the Zelvar, their stolen alien ship weaved through the chaos. Hayes stood at the front, his jaw set with determination. Next to him was Lieutenant Ramirez, his closest friend and second in command. Ramirez had been with Hayes through every battle, and their bond was unshakable. Ramirez's humor had always been a source of levity during the darkest times, but now his usual jokes were replaced with a quiet intensity. The team breached the Dominion flagship, entering the heart of the enemy's command center. The corridors were eerily silent, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Every step forward felt like a step closer to death. The Dominion eye was relentless, sending drones and robotic soldiers to intercept them. The close-quarters combat that followed was brutal, with every corner turned bringing fresh danger. The team's advanced weaponry kept them alive, but the losses were mounting. In one fateful encounter, a Dominion patrol cornered the team in a narrow corridor. Ramirez, recognizing the danger, made a split-second decision. "Go," he shouted, shoving Hayes forward. "I'll hold them off." "Ramirez, don't." Hayes started, but it was too late. Ramirez charged into the fray, his exosuit glowing with energy as he drew the enemy's fire. The last thing Hayes saw was Ramirez's defiant grin as he detonated an EMP grenade, taking down the pursuing drones and sealing his own fate. The loss of Ramirez hit the team hard, but there was no time to grieve. Hayes clenched his fists, his heart heavy but his resolve unshaken. "We finish this," he said, his voice cold and determined. The thought of Ramirez's sacrifice fueled their determination. They pressed on, fighting through the pain and exhaustion. Inside the Zelvar, the team reached the ship's central core. The alien eye was there, a massive construct of glowing circuits and pulsating energy. It was the brain of the warship, the source of the Dominion's cold, unfeeling power. The team planted explosives around the core, knowing that this was their only chance to strike a fatal blow. The AI fought back, activating defenses within the room. Robotic arms and laser turrets emerged, forcing the team into a desperate firefight. Hayes took command, directing his soldiers with precision. They fought like cornered animals, every move fueled by desperation and the hope of victory. The room became a battlefield, filled with the sounds of gunfire, explosions, and the screams of defiance. Finally, The charges were set. Hayes and his team retreated, their cloaking devices barely holding as they evaded the Dominion's final wave of defenses. As they escaped the ship, Hayes looked back one last time, his mind filled with memories of Bonner, Ramirez, and all the others who had given their lives for this moment. The explosives detonated, and the Xelvar was consumed in a massive explosion. The shockwave rippled through space, disrupting the Dominion fleet. The war machines on Earth faltered, their connection to the flagship severed. Humanity's forces seized the opportunity, launching a counterattack that pushed the Dominion back. As the sky cleared and the fires died down, the cost of victory became clear. Cities lay in ruins, and countless lives had been lost. But humanity had survived. They had defied the odds, standing tall against an enemy that sought to crush them. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. Captain Hayes stood among the wreckage, his heart heavy with loss but filled with hope. Humanity had shown that it would not go quietly into the night. They had faced the Dominion's might and survived, proving that even in the darkest moments, the human spirit could shine bright. The Dominion's fleet was in chaos, scattered across the skies as debris fell like shooting stars onto Earth's battered surface. The destruction of the Xelvar had crippled their command structure, leaving their forces vulnerable. But the war wasn't over yet. The heart of the Dominion, their main control system, was still intact. If humanity didn't act fast, the remnants of the fleet could regroup and finish what they started. Captain Hayes and his team, battered but unbroken, knew what had to be done. The victory they had fought so hard to achieve was meaningless if the Dominion's control system remained operational. This was the final mission, the one that would decide the fate of humanity. Their target was the Dominion's main control system, hidden deep within the flagship orbiting Earth. It wasn't just a control center, it was the mind of the Dominion. The AI that coordinated their fleets and directed their relentless assaults. As their stolen Dominion shuttle approached the flagship, tension filled the air. The battered team exchanged glances, their eyes reflecting both fear and determination. Every one of them knew the odds. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and running on sheer willpower. But none of that mattered. They were humanity's last hope. The shuttle's cloaking device flickered as they neared the flagship, its massive, ominous silhouette dominating the horizon. Alarms blared as the Dominion detected the faintest energy signature. Hayes barked orders, his voice calm but firm. "Stay sharp. They know we're here." The shuttle shuddered as it docked, the team wasting no time. They poured into the flagship, weapons drawn, moving with the precision of a unit that had fought through hell together. The corridors of the flagship were a labyrinth of glowing alien metal. The team moved silently, their footsteps muffled by their cloaking suits. Every corner turned was a gamble, each corridor potentially hiding enemy patrols. Tension mounted with each step, the quiet hum of the ship a constant reminder of the AI that loomed over them. They encountered resistance almost immediately. Dominion drones, sleek and deadly, appeared from hidden compartments in the walls. The firefight was brutal and unrelenting. The team used every trick in their arsenal. EMP grenades to disable drones, energy rifles to cut through their armor, and sheer grit to press forward. Each victory came at a cost, with injuries mounting and their ammunition dwindling. Hayes pushed them onward, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We didn't come this far to fail now. Keep moving." Finally, they'd reached the control core, the very heart of the Dominion's operations. The room was enormous, its walls covered in pulsating lights and circuits that seemed alive. In the center was the AI core, a towering construct of energy and alien machinery, radiating an almost tangible sense of malevolence. It was beautiful and terrifying, a testament to the Dominion's power. Hayes and his team quickly set to work. They had only minutes to plant the charges and initiate the overload sequence. The AI, aware of their presence, activated its defenses. Robotic arms and turrets emerged from the walls, filling the room with deadly firepower. The team fought with everything they had, their movements a chaotic ballet of survival. As the last charge was placed, the AI spoke. Its voice was cold, emotionless, and eerily calm. "You cannot win. Destroying me will not save you. Humanity will fall." Hayes didn't hesitate. Maybe, but not today. He activated the charges, setting the countdown in motion. Then the AI revealed its final trick. A hidden terminal sprang to life, showing live feeds of humans imprisoned aboard the ship, civilians who had been captured during the invasion. The AI gave Hayes an impossible choice: save the prisoners or destroy the core. There wasn't enough time to do both. The weight of the decision crushed Hayes. His team looked to him, their faces reflecting the same agony he felt. But deep down, he knew what had to be done. Saving the prisoners wouldn't end the war. Destroying the core was the only way to ensure humanity's survival. Hayes' voice cracked as he gave the order. "We finish this. For them." His team nodded, their eyes shining with tears, but their resolve unshaken. They knew the cost of victory. The charges detonated and chaos erupted. The control core collapsed in a cascade of light and fire, sending shockwaves through the flagship. The AI's voice cut off mid-sentence, replaced by the groaning of the ship's failing structure. The Dominion fleet, now without its guiding intelligence, faltered. Ships drifted aimlessly, their weapons falling silent. Hayes and his team raced through the collapsing ship, the corridors now a maze of fire and debris. Explosions rocked the vessel as secondary systems failed, the chain reaction consuming the massive warship. The team's cloaking suits barely functioned, their energy reserves drained from the constant fighting. They reached the shuttle just as the flagship began to break apart. Hayes stumbled aboard, his body aching, his mind numb. As the shuttle sped away, the team watched in silence as the Dominion flagship erupted in a massive explosion. The shockwave rippled across the sky, a brilliant burst of light that signaled the end of the Dominion's reign of terror. On Earth, the survivors watched in awe. For a moment, the world seemed to stand still. Then cheers erupted, a wave of relief and triumph spreading across the planet. Humanity had won. The cost had been unimaginable. Cities lay in ruins, countless lives had been lost, and the scars of the war would never fully heal. But against all odds, humanity had triumphed. They had faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable and emerged victorious, proving that even in the darkest times, the human spirit could prevail. As the shuttle descended to the surface, Hayes looked out at the battered Earth. He thought of Bonner, Ramirez, and all the others who had given their lives for this moment. Their sacrifices would never be forgotten. Hayes turned to his team, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "We did it, not for ourselves, but for everyone who couldn't be here to see it, for humanity." The war was over, but the fight for the future was just beginning. Earth would rebuild, stronger and more united than ever, and humanity, scared but unbroken, would rise to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Dominion's retreat was swift and unrelenting, their once dominant fleet scattering across the stars in defeat. The massive warships that had once filled the sky with fear now drifted aimlessly, their commanders unsure of their next move. The victory that humanity had achieved seemed almost impossible just days ago, yet here they were, survivors of a battle that had changed the course of history. The Earth was scared, but its spirit was stronger than ever. Captain Hayes stood on the war-torn battlefield, watching as humanity's forces began the long process of rebuilding. The landscape was littered with the remnants of destroyed alien ships and human casualties. The cities that had once been symbols of civilization now stood as crumbling monuments to the war. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and burning wreckage, but amidst it all, there was a sense of hope. Humanity had not just survived, they had fought, they had won, and they would rebuild. As the survivors cleared debris and treated the wounded, the enormity of the loss became clear. Cities lay in ruins, entire generations had been lost, and families were torn apart. But the human will was unstoppable. Every day, the people of Earth worked together to restore what had been broken. Technology was salvaged from the wreckage, and old cities were being rebuilt with new ideas, new designs, and new hopes for the future. The scars of the battle would remain, but they would become symbols of the strength that had allowed humanity to endure. The Dominion had underestimated humanity. They thought their superior technology and advanced AI would be enough to wipe out the human race. But they were wrong. The tenacity and resilience of humans had proven to be a force that even the most powerful alien empire could not overcome. Captain Hayes knew that the victory was not just about winning a battle. It was about showing the universe that humanity would never bow down, never surrender. As the rebuilding process continued, Captain Hayes was asked to speak before the United Nations, to address the people of Earth and the galaxy that had watched the war unfold. Standing at the podium, he looked out at the sea of faces, some filled with grief, others with hope, and all with determination. His heart weighed heavy with the loss of so many. But he knew the world needed a message of strength. The Dominion thought we were weak, Hayes began, his voice steady and strong. They thought they could break us, that we would crumble under their might. But they were wrong. We fought with everything we had. We fought not just for survival, but for our future, for the future of our children, our families, and our home. He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. We will not forget the sacrifices that have been made. We will not forget those we lost, those who gave their lives so that we could live. Their courage will live on in every step we take to rebuild our world. Hayes' eyes scanned the crowd, his voice gaining strength. To the rest of the galaxy, let this be a message. Humanity is not to be underestimated. If you come back, we will be waiting. We will fight for our freedom. We will fight for our future. And we will win. The crowd erupted into applause, their voices echoing across the globe. It wasn't just a victory speech. It was a declaration, a promise to every human, and to anyone who might threaten their future. It was a new beginning for humanity. As the speech concluded, the camera pulled away, showing Earth from space. The planet, though scared by the battle, was beginning to heal. The once polluted skies were now clear, the Earth beginning to take on a new life as the survivors worked tirelessly to rebuild. Humanity had faced the darkest challenge imaginable, and they had triumphed. Now, they stood together, unified in their strength and resolve. The stars above, once symbols of an unknown and terrifying universe, no longer seemed so daunting. Earth had faced the worst that the galaxy could throw at them, and they had come out on top. The Dominion ships were no longer a threat. Their once dominant presence in the galaxy diminished. But Earth's new era had just begun. With the technological advancements gained from the war, humanity was poised to take its place among the stars, not as a helpless species, but as a force to be reckoned with. The closing shot of the Earth, shining brightly against the backdrop of space, was a testament to humanity's resilience. It wasn't just the physical scars that would remain. It was the unbreakable spirit of humanity that had proven to the galaxy that no force could ever keep them down for long. As the camera zoomed out, showing Earth surrounded by the vastness of space, the final words echoed. Humanity's survival is not a fluke. It's their destiny. And with that, the screen faded to black, the future of humanity uncertain but filled with endless possibilities. The galaxy had been put on notice. Earth was no longer just a small blue planet. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of what could be achieved when humanity stood together. And now, the stars were within reach.